How you doing, David? This is Najee from Cigar Talk. Congratulations on your victory tonight. You fought a bunch of elite opponents, throughout your career, between, Caleb Plant and Andre, and of course now Morell. Can you talk about where he ranks just as far as difficulty, between your past opponents?
He hits harder than everybody I faced. He's obviously because 175, so he's a good fighter, but I think just my experience alone, I've seen so much different styles. I've seen Caleb Plant, Demetrius Andre, Bosick, Anthony Durrell. Who else?
The boxing world has reacted to the electrifying showdown between David Benavidez and David Morell. Here are the most shocking reactions. Before the fight, many boxers and experts shared their predictions. Ricardo Celis, anchor for ProBox, believed that the fight would be an all-out war, with both fighters coming forward. He gave Benavidez a slight edge due to his experience and the fact that he used his jab effectively. However, he noted that Morell would start to feel the pressure of Benavidez's power as the fight progressed, possibly making things harder for him as the rounds went on. Celis expected Benavidez to control the fight with his relentless aggression, but also saw Morell as a dangerous opponent who can withstand pressure and deliver his own counterattacks. Ricardo Celis said, "I think that Benavidez versus Morell will be a real war between two fighters that come forward. Benavidez may have a slight edge because of his experience and because he uses his jab well. Morell is going to feel things get harder as he starts to feel the Mexican monster's power." Tris Dixon from Boxing Scene was hyped for Benavidez versus Morell, calling it the kind of fight that's almost too good to be true. He acknowledged the questions lingering around the matchup. Is it too soon for Morell? Is it too dangerous for Benavidez? But ultimately, he believed the fight was happening at just the right time. Dixon was confident that their styles would mesh perfectly, making for an all-action brawl between two fighters who bring skill, ambition, power, and the desire to face the best. Tris Dixon, Boxing Scene, said, "What a terrific fight. You always know a match is good when you aren't sure if it's actually been made or if it's fake news doing the rounds. Is it too early for Morell? Is it too risky for Benavidez? Regardless of the above, it's hard not to see the styles gelling. We know what we get from both fighters: skill, ambition, power, and the will to fight the best." One thing Dixon was particularly intrigued by is the bad blood between the two fighters. He hoped that the tension that's been building in the lead-up translates into an aggressive start, setting the stage for a fast-paced, breathless firefight. In his view, Benavidez would likely have to weather some rough patches, maybe even get knocked down. But in the end, his relentless volume and sheer willpower would carry him to victory. Dixon saw this fight as a battle of attrition, one where Benavidez's ability to take punishment and keep throwing punches would be the deciding factor.
I've been getting ready extremely hard for this moment. I've trained extremely hard, and now we're ready. Now we're coming with all energy, not like this pussy right here. Peace and love. What was all that that you were talking about back then? Look, now this guy's nervous. I'm gonna beat the out of you, and I hope you don't have no excuses, because you look scared as right now. To be honest, you can smile, you do all you want, but watch. When you step into that ring this Saturday, that's El Monstro's world, and you're gonna see exactly what the made of.
Ali Sekbak of East News was just as excited, calling it one of the biggest fights of the year. His connection to Benavidez runs deep, He recalled watching him train with Manny Pacquiao when he was just 11 years old, seeing firsthand how the young fighter developed into the dominant force he is today. Sekbok saw this as a true clash of two tremendous fighters, but he was siding with Benavidez by late stoppage. For Sekbok, the fight was pure entertainment from start to finish. Must-see TV. He expected every single second to be thrilling, with neither fighter backing down. Even though he was predicting a Benavidez stoppage, he knew Morell won't go down easy, making this an edge-of-your-seat showdown that could steal the show as one of the best fights of the year. Elise said, "I can't wait for February 1st, it's one of the biggest fights of the year. I used to watch Benavidez when he was 11 years old in the gym with Manny Pacquiao, and I've seen him grow from there, and now he's fighting the very, very tough David Morell Jr., who's also a tremendous fighter. I'm picking Benavidez by late stoppage, but it's going to be a great fight. It's must-see TV. Every second will be exciting." In a recent interview, before the fight, David Benavidez expressed his belief that he could entice Canelo Alvarez to step up to 175 pounds for a showdown. He planned to achieve this by first defeating David Morell.
I really don't like anybody who I fight, and it just takes a little bit of trash talk to really get me set off, but he's been talking a lot. He's been calling me out for 2 years, So it's basically, I'm gonna shut this guy up.
Your emotions might get the best of you?
No, I'm not. I'm a professional. I've been doing this. I've been professional 11 years. I have way more experience. The fight that did let my emotions get to me was Caleb Plant, but you learn from the experience, and I intend to using my experience to the best of my advantage. This fight, we're gonna do different stuff. We're gonna be throwing combinations off the bat, and as soon as I let my combinations go, you see that the best David Benavidez gets seen. So I'm not looking for one shot. Like I said, I'm gonna punish this dude, and I'm gonna punish him on every angle. Body shots, head shots, uppercuts, whatever it is, I'm gonna punish him.
Benavidez stated that he still believes the Canelo bout will take place, despite the belief that he had finally given up on it. "I knew one day they would ask for that fight, and today, it's amazing how much attention that fight is getting. I think I'm winning more right now with him putting it off because people are seeing. They offered him $70 million to fight me. That's before fighting me," said David Benavidez to All the Smoke about a fight between him and Canelo Alvarez. He added, "So imagine after PPV, so what Canelo does is he pays guys flat fees. They had offered me $5 million. I said, cool. We agreed, said yes, and then we never heard back. They were calling the bait out. They wanted to see if I would say yes or no. They were calling the bait out. They thought I was going to say, no, I'm not going to fight for $5 million. This fight is worth way more. So I called their bluff and said, yes, and that's the last time I heard about that fight. Canelo hasn't shown any inclination to face David, instead opting for opponents who catch his interest. Benavidez said about a fight between him and Canelo, but this fight is inevitable. Everyone is asking for it. It's the biggest fight that can possibly be made. I'm not scared of Canelo. I feel like I can beat him. That's basically what I've been doing with David Morell." He further added, "David Morell has been talking a lot saying I can't beat him. And what am I doing? I'm going and facing him. That's what a true champion should do. If I'm sitting here telling Canelo I can knock him out and beat him, why doesn't he come shut me up and make a lot of money? That's what he's doing now. He's fighting easier opponents and making $30 million. If he fights me, he makes triple that. So make it make sense." Benavidez's ambitions of defeating Morell and then claiming the undisputed title at 175 come across as little more than wishful thinking. Benavidez then said, "I feel like he knows it's the toughest fight, and in his head, he potentially knows he could lose. That's what I know. I know that for a fact. That's why he's not taking this fight. I don't think he's scared of me. He will fight me, but he knows if he loses this fight, he's probably going to retire. So that's a big if for me. My plan is now beating David Morell, going up and winning the undisputed title in that way. I can entice a fight with Canelo. Maybe we can do a catch weight at 172. I don't know if they would allow it. To make matters more far-fetched, he believes he can convince Canelo to step up to light heavyweight for a showdown, a scenario that's highly unlikely. Canelo has no interest in facing an opponent who could have a 25-pound weight advantage come fight night. He already faced a similar challenge with Edgar Berlanga and struggled. Benavidez added, "It would be the highest-paying fight of all boxing. It's possible it can happen. Tyson Fury got $150 million. Usyk got like $150 million. I think Canelo is putting the price out there, letting people know what the cost is. Now, you see, he met with Turki Al-Sheikh. Experts don't see Turkey giving Canelo $150 million. That seems unrealistic, particularly in light of Benavidez's fight with Morell. So I think we're in a good position right now. I always keep my thoughts on my opponent in front of me. We're not thinking of Canelo right now. We're thinking of David Morell. And after that, we're going to win the undisputed title," said Benavidez. Meanwhile, Caleb Plant is a superior fighter than David Morell, according to trainer Jose Benavidez Sr., who believes he made a mistake by fighting David Benavidez at this early stage of his 11-fight career. David Benavidez is an exciting fighter. He's a friendly TV fighter, and a fighter that you guys are not going to regret watching because he does bring a lot of excitement to the fight. Nothing is going to change here, said Jose Benavidez Sr. to Mill City Boxing, talking about Saturday's fight between David Morell and David Benavidez. Jose Sr. stated that this was the best camp they had ever had, explaining that the reason for this was because, both mentally and physically, David Benavidez was on another level. He mentioned that Benavidez had matured and that his man strength had developed, which would result in a more powerful version of him than before. When asked whether Caleb Plant was better than David Morell, Jose Sr. responded that he would say yes. He added, "My question is, why did they put Morell with David? I think they made a big mistake." What Jose Sr. doesn't seem to grasp is that none of the fighters he mentions ever showed any desire to face Morell. Even if they did step into the ring, it wouldn't benefit Morell much as they're all past their prime. Andrade at 36 and Durrell, now 40, are both well into the later stages of their careers. Durrell hasn't fought in 3 years, his last fight being a knockout loss to Plant in 2022. While Plant is still in his prime, it's unlikely he would take on Morell anytime soon. Benavidez Sr. said, "If I was managing him, that's what I would probably do. I think they made a big mistake putting him with Benavidez. We don't know what Morell has. He has 11 fights. In his last fight, he had a little bit of trouble against a guy I don't even know." Radevoye defeated Morell in their bout last August, demonstrating his superiority over the men Sr. wanted Morell to face in order to gain experience. Jose Sr.'s approach to avoiding a showdown reveals why it took both him and his son, David Benavidez, so long to accept the challenge from Morell, despite the Cuban fighter calling them out as early as 2022. They avoided the fight until recently, following David's bout with Radevoye, and it's easy to understand why. There's a noticeable sense of apprehension within Team Benavidez. What do you think about the fight outcome? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and check out other videos for the latest boxing updates.